Hello, my name is Dorothy McFadden. I'm one of the registered dietitians at the St. Luke's Bariatric program. Today you are listening to the podcast called Essentials of Label Reading. Label Reading 101. Part of understanding basic nutrition and learning how to purchase products that provide the nutrients that you need and to avoid those products that can negatively affect your health. Basically, label reading is essential for food shopping and for making proper choices in the foods that you include in your diet. So tell me, is this a good food label? Look at the top. It says one serving size is a cup. Calories are 260. Calories from fat are 72. It gives you 13% of your daily value for fat and 36% for fiber, and 25 grams of protein. So would this be a food item that you would choose? All right, let's decipher it. In this particular container, the serving size for the chili with beans is 1 cup, and the servings per container are 2. Okay, so for half of that container, you're going to be getting 260 calories. So remember, everything that's listed on this label is only for 1 serving or half the container. It's very common for multiple servings to be in 1 container. So be aware that just because you're having a container, it's not just 1 serving. So you need to pay attention to the serving size. Most of your snack packages contain about 2.5 serving sizes in them. All right, so fat calories. When you're looking at the fat calories, they should be 1/3 of the calories of the total calories or less. So for instance, the total calories on this serving is 260. A third of that is 87 calories. The calories you have from fat with this particular item is 72, so it's less than 1/3 of the calories are from fat. So you can look at total grams of fat in other ways to make it easier. 3 grams of fat per 100 calories, 3 grams of fat for 15 grams of carb, 3 grams of fat for 7 to 8 grams of protein, or like I just said, 1/3 or less of total fat should be saturated fat. And just to give you some general guidelines, if you're eating a 1,200 calorie diet, you should have 40 grams of fat total per day or less. 1,500 calories is 50 grams for your total day, and 1,800 calories would be 60 grams for the whole day. So what types of fat are there? Well, there's unsaturated fat, which most of you have probably heard is better for you. It's liquid. It's typically comes from vegetable products or seeds. So, for instance, like corn oil is a common unsaturated fat. Saturated fat is solid in room temperature and is most often found in animal products, and that increases your LDL, or what they call your bad cholesterol, the cholesterol that increases hardening of the arteries. And then there's trans fats, which actually are chemically made. They're man-made fats. That increases your bad cholesterol, but the other thing that it does is it decreases your good cholesterol or your HDL cholesterol. So your total saturated and trans fat intake for the whole day should be 20 grams or less. And you need to look for hidden fats. For instance, if you look at the label of the item you're purchasing, it may say 0 trans fats, but if you look at the ingredient list and it says partially hydrogenated vegetable oils, then that means there is trans fat in it. When they pass the trans fat guideline, a food label can read 0 if it contains 0.5 grams of trans fat or less. So a lot of the food companies manipulated the portion sizes to be much smaller to fit that guideline of 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving, so they can put on the label 0 trans fat. So you also need to look in the ingredient list. So here I'm giving you an example of a label that has trans fat in it. It's for 4 cookies is the serving size. Okay, it says on the label 0 trans fat, but if you look right down here, partially hydrogenated vegetable oil and hydrogenated oils, well, that means there is trans fat in it. And probably if you had a serving size of 6 cookies, it would show up. But they made the serving size smaller, so it looks like you're not getting any trans fat. Cholesterol. Cholesterol is found in all your animal products. LDL, or bad cholesterol, is the main cause of fatty buildup in the arteries. HDL helps prevent cholesterol buildup, and saturated and trans fat increases the LDL cholesterol. So your total cholesterol should be less than 300 milligrams per day. If you have documented heart disease, it should be less than 200 milligrams per day. So this item has 130 milligrams of cholesterol in one serving, or 44% of your daily value. All right, let's look at the label again. Sodium. The current guideline for sodium is 2,400 milligrams per day. If you're over 50 years of age, you should limit your sodium to 1,500 milligrams per day. For a food label to say sodium free, it should have less than 5 milligrams. If it's a very low sodium product, less than 35 milligrams. And if it's low sodium, it has to have less than 140 milligrams per serving. So obviously this product, when you look at it, it's got 1,010 milligrams of sodium, or 42% of the daily value of 2,400 milligrams per day. So it obviously is not a low sodium product. Carbohydrate. All right, so in general, based on a 2,000 calorie diet, you should have 300 grams of carb per day. You want to limit sugar to 10% or less, so less than 30 grams per day. And you want to have less than 15 grams of sugar per serving of the items that you choose. And the American Diabetes Association recommends a minimum of 130 grams of carbohydrate per day. So the majority of the carbohydrate you eat is not simple sugar. All right, so you look down here, the total carbohydrates 22 grams or 7% of the daily value. You get 9 grams of fiber, which is a huge benefit, and only 4 grams of simple sugar. Okay, and we're talking about less than 15 grams of sugar per serving. Fiber. There's soluble and insoluble fiber. Both are good for you. Soluble fiber can help decrease cholesterol. It binds with cholesterol in the gut and you excrete it. Insoluble fiber can reduce your risk of colon cancer because it prevents constipation and it moves waste through your bowel much faster. It also reduces the risk of diverticulosis, and the average American should aim for 25 grams of fiber per day or more. So you can see this is a pretty significant source of fiber on this particular food label. Protein. The goal is 60 to 75 grams of protein per day. If you want to get really technical about it, it's 0.8 to 1.0 grams per kilogram body weight. Obviously, you want to focus on leaner protein so you can keep your fat content down, especially you want to keep your saturated fat content down. So this is something you should look at on the label. So like we determined in the beginning, this particular product has 72 calories from fat. And the total calories in the item is 260 calories, so 27% of the calories in this item comes from fat, so it's lower in fat. It has 8 grams of total fat and only 3 grams of saturated fat, so it's all within the guidelines that we recommend for fat content, but you get 25 grams of protein. So you're getting a lot of protein for not a lot of fat. Percent daily value. I get a lot of questions as to what exactly does percent daily value mean. It's the average level of nutrients for a person who's eating 2,000 calories a day. They just decided for the labels that they assume the average person eats 2,000 calories a day. So then if you're eating 2,000 calories a day, they calculated how much fat you should have, how much protein, how much carb, and then it comes out with these percentages. So 5% or less means that the item is not a good source of that product. 20% or more, it's a high source of that product. So if you look at this, it's a good source of fiber. It's a high source of sodium, but we don't want foods with high sources of sodium, okay? And it's also a relatively high amount of cholesterol. So you want to aim for total fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, and sodium to be lower. You want to aim for high, like 20% or more with your vitamins, minerals, and fiber. And Americans need more fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and potassium in general in their diets. And potassium content is an option on the food label, but it isn't on all the labels. All right, so now if you look, what does the footnote mean? At the bottom of your label, there's a footnote, and it tells you percent daily values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Your daily values may be higher or lower depending on your calorie needs. So your typical weight loss surgery patient, when they're in the maintenance phase, will be eating anywhere between 1,200 to 1,500 calories. So it would be much less than the 2,000 calories. But it shows you on a 2,000 calorie diet, you should be getting less than 65 grams of fat for the whole day, 20 grams of saturated fat for the whole day, 300 milligrams for cholesterol or less, unless you have documented heart disease, so then it would be 200 milligrams, 2,400 milligrams of sodium, and 300 grams of carbohydrate or less, and 25 grams of fiber or more. So if you look over on the left-hand side here, 0% fiber, well, that's not a good choice. This product only gives you 4% A and 2% C, so they're not good sources of that, but it is a good source of calcium in this particular label. So let's look at this label. Fat-free chocolate skim milk. Is this a good product to have? Well, let's decipher it, okay? Has 0 grams of fat in it, so it's a low-fat item, and the total calories are 150 for 1 cup. We go down here, low sodium, with 140 milligrams or less is considered low sodium, has 28 grams of carb or 9% of your daily value, 0 fiber, but it's got a whopping 28 grams of sugar, and we recommend 15 grams or less, and it has 9 grams of protein. So because of that, we would not recommend this particular product because of the high sugar content. It is a good source of calcium and vitamin D. All right, how about this label? Okay, 60 of the 290 calories are from fat. So it's about 21% calories is fat, so it's less than 30%, so that's a good choice. The saturated fat's 2.5, so it's less than 3, so that's a good choice. Sodium is 700 milligrams, so that's a little bit higher than we would like. Total carb is 41 grams, sugars is 8, protein is 16. So this product is okay, but it is higher in sodium than we would like. But it is low fat, and it is a good source of protein, and it gives you 15% of your daily value for calcium. All right, what about this product? 0 calories from fat, 35 calories for 3/4 cup. So that's very low calorie for a relatively larger portion size. It's low in sodium, 140 milligrams or less. Gives you 2 grams of fibers, 3 grams of sugar. The problem with this product is it's probably one of those little snacky foods you pick up along the way, because really if you look over percent daily value, it's not really a good source of anything. You know, you're getting fiber from it, but that's about it. It gives you 30% of your calories, 30% of the daily value for vitamin C, but it's not what we would call a nutrient-dense food, so it's probably not something you'd want to include in your diet on a regular basis. All right, let's decipher this one. 8 calories from fat, so that's relatively low fat, right? The total serving size is 172 grams. Unfortunately, I don't know what that means. I do not like when serving sizes are in grams. But it comes out to about 4% calories of fat, only 1 gram total fat, 7 milligrams of cholesterol, 36 grams of carb, but only 6 grams of sugar, and 11 grams of fiber, and 13 grams of protein. It also gives you 24% of your daily value for iron. So actually, this is a pretty good food label here. That would be a good product to have. So what are some health claims that show up on your food labels? Well, low calorie means it has to be less than 40 calories. Low cholesterol, less than 20 milligrams. Reduced, less than 25% of the original. A good source means it gives you 10% of the daily value or more. Calorie-free is less than 5 calories. If it's a high in value, it would be 20% or more of the daily value, means it contains a high amount of that nutrient, and high fiber is 5 grams or more. To be a good source of fiber, it would be 2 grams or more. So in conclusion, thank you for listening to the Essentials of Label Reading. I hope this will help you make healthier choices in the supermarket.